is Randy, and today we're making shadow puppets and a shadow puppet stage. Now, this project requires some wire twisting and other delicate work, so little fingers might need some grown-up help. Grab your materials and let's get started. To make your shadow puppets, you will need hot glue or tape to secure the rods, scissors, a pencil, thin cardboard or cardstock for the puppet itself, some skewers or wire to make the puppet's rods, and if you'd like your puppet to have moving parts, you will also need thin wire and needle nose pliers. To start, think about what kind of story you'd like to tell and create a list of characters. The list can be as long or as short as you like, but remember, it can take some time to make all of those characters. Take your piece of thin cardboard or cardstock and draw your character. Be careful not to make your character too complicated because you will have to cut it out, and you will want to make sure that there's a place for you to attach your rod. If you'd like to make your character have moving parts, draw those parts separately. I'm making a dinosaur and I'd like the head and neck to move. So I'm going to draw the head and the neck separately from the body. With your scissors, carefully cut your character out of the cardboard. Now, small hands might need a little bit of help from grown-ups, especially if you have lots of complicated parts of your puppet. As you're designing your puppet, make sure that it's not too big or too small for the puppet stage that you have in mind. My stage is a little bit small, so I want to make sure my puppet characters are very small. If you'd like to make moving parts on your puppet, mark a spot where the puppet's joint is going to be, and you can even try it out by holding the piece down with your pencil. My puppet, I think, is going to have two jointed parts. If you'd like to give your puppet moving joints, take a small piece of wire and carefully create a spiral on one side. Should look something like this. Poke a little hole where you'd like your joint to be on each part of your puppet and thread your wire through both sides. The little spiral will prevent your wire from going all the way through. On the other side, you'll need to create another spiral. Now my wire's a little long, so I'm going to make that a little shorter. Create another little spiral. Flatten that down. There we go. A little moving joint. And it's nice and flat, so it shouldn't catch on your shadow puppet screen. All right, repeat with all the remaining joints you have. Okay, there we go. I've got two joints, so my dinosaur can go all the way down to the ground and then all the way back up. Repeat this process with all of your remaining shadow puppets. Once all of your puppets are made, they've all got their joints, they're all cut out, it's time to attach your rods. So grab your skewers or your wire or whatever you have, and your hot glue, your tape, whatever you're using to attach them, and go ahead and attach them. Now, if your puppet has a moving part, you will have to put a rod on the main part of the puppet and a rod on the moving part of the puppet. Otherwise, you won't be able to control the puppet's movement while you're doing the puppetry. I'm going to put a little bit more glue on these rods because I really don't want them to move around. trying to avoid putting glue on the joints. Once that's dry, your puppet's ready to go. Next, we're gonna make our shadow puppet stage. To make your shadow puppet stage, you will need a cardboard box, scissors, markers, paint, or other decorations for the frame, thin translucent paper or white fabric for the screen, a lamp, and hot glue or tape to secure the screen. To make your shadow puppet stage, draw a big rectangle on one side of your box. I used the bottom of my box because there weren't any seams or overlapping pieces of cardboard. And then cut that rectangle out very carefully. You might need the help of a grown-up because cardboard can be pretty tricky to cut through. On the inside of your box, take your piece of fabric or thin paper and tape or glue it in to cover the hole in the box. My box was quite a bit bigger, so I also cut down the box so that it was easier for me to reach inside. Next, decorate the outside of your box with paint or markers, whatever makes you happy. Now that you have your puppets and your stage ready, it's time to return to your story and get it ready for a performance. While you're working on your story, don't forget about the story sandwich. Every good story has those 3 parts: the beginning, the middle, and the end. Just like a sandwich has bread, something in the middle, and bread again. The beginning introduces the story, introduces the characters, and introduces the problem. The middle of the story is where all the juicy, exciting bits happen, where the characters try to solve the problem, you meet new people, exciting stuff happens. And then the end is when you find a resolution to the problem. The characters solve the problem, and then you find out how they've changed or how they've grown throughout the story. So keep all those things in mind while you work on your story for your shadow puppet show. Now, you have your puppets, you have your puppet stage, and you have your story. So it's time to set up to start rehearsing and performing. Now, when you set up your puppet stage, take your lamp, and you want to set it up in between you and the stage. This helps make sure that you don't accidentally cross in front of the light with your body, which will show up on your shadow puppet stage and maybe wreck your play. My puppet stage wants to be a little bit higher up, so I've got 2 handy books, and then the stage. So we'll test, make sure the light is going to shine on the screen here. Oh yeah, working pretty well. But something's not quite right. Much better. All right, we've got our light on the screen. Let's see how our puppet looks. Oh yeah, pretty good. Okay, I think we're ready to start practicing. Something to keep in mind while you're doing shadow puppetry is that you want to move your puppet just a little bit slower than you might think. And that's because our eyes can catch fast movement, but it takes our brain a little bit of time to catch up. And we want to make sure that our audience really understands everything that your puppet's doing on the stage. Once you've got the hang of moving your puppet around, start working on your story. You can add all sorts of things like narration, where you tell the story and the puppets act it out, scenery, maybe some music, or even a blackout. So, try out a bunch of different things, see what you like, and have fun. And that is how you can put on your very own shadow puppet play at home. Bye!